All right, today's installment of Tales from the Door, got Rob Biernacki, the man that they based Dalton off of. I thought he'd be bigger, but all right. So in addition to doing all the jiu-jitsu stuff and then doing your sort of MMA-oriented stuff, you also worked the door for a number of years, hey?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking years and years ago when I had almost no, like any kind of high-level jiu-jitsu training. I knew a couple of basic things.
All right.
But those things served me very well.
So where did you bounce, and how did you end up working there?
So I bounced at a couple of nightclubs. One was named Plastique, the other one was named District. And I happened to end up working there because a friend of mine owned the clubs.
Okay.
So I had a very different sense of my responsibility than I would have if I was
Just an employee.
Just a regular employee, just a mercenary. I would not have gotten nearly as involved in some of the altercations that I got involved in. My sort of priority was I don't want my friend to get sued and lose his establishment. So I did stuff that I would never ever encourage somebody who's becoming security personnel to do.
Okay, well this is just our special private place, our Kona styles, those go beyond us.
Sure.
What did you do that you would never encourage anyone else to do?
Well, so I bounced long enough ago that not everybody had radios. Nowadays, I don't think you can really walk
Or
into
even cell phones.
Well, certainly not cell phones, but I mean, like if you're talking about door staff at any establishment, they have radios, right?
Okay.
Like they're all in constant
You're
communication.
being a smart ass and you have to know what you said.
Yeah. So the method of communication in there was flashlight. You got a flashlight, you would flash the next person over, hey, there's trouble, and then you would wait for them to arrive. Now, if the next person over is across a crowded dance floor, the amount of time that it takes for them to arrive can be more than you want to wait for if your interest is as mine was in the case. So there were a couple of brawls that developed that, again, I would never encourage a single security individual to enter into the fray, which, again, I stupidly did. But
okay, so there's a bunch of guys fighting.
Yeah.
You feel
well, there's a bunch of guys
honor-bound.
bottle fighting, which is even better.
Awesome.
And when I say bottle fighting, I mean literally guys picking up bottles and just hucking them at each other.
Okay. So how did you handle that?
Well,
rightly or wrongly? Judgment-free zone.
Well, rightly I did flash the next person, and I was waiting for them to come over, and while the guys were still just throwing bottles and glasses, there's kind of a minimum amount of mayhem involved with that. The potential injury is, a superficial laceration. But then one of the guys picked up a bottle, turned it upside down, and was about to blindside somebody, which, we were talking, that's a potentially fatal injury if you jam, a bottle in someone's neck. So I did just come up behind the guy and, snap the bottle out of his hand and rear naked choke him. Fortunately for me, because I did get a great story out of it, his buddy tried to blindside us with a bottle as well. So I'm holding one guy in a rear naked choke, and his buddy comes out from the side, and I managed to just turn and duck my head. And so he just brained his buddy with the bottle, cut him from eye to jaw, and I managed to yank him, throw him out the door. The rest of the bouncers got there by that point, and so I was no longer fighting a bunch of people. But there were a few instances like that where I
were you using the rear naked as a control or to choke somebody unconscious?
Well, it was a control at first, and then to choke them unconscious. The other incident that I'm sort of thinking of was actually when I was no longer even working. I was not employed. I was just visiting my friend's establishment, and a similar instance was developing where several guys were getting into an argument with the door staff, and one of them had a bottle hid behind this. And so as he went to yeah, exactly. So as he wound up to hit the bouncer, I was behind him, and I just came in and I snapped the bottle out of his hand and rear naked choked him, and I put him to sleep very quickly. Depending on whether or not you've actually ever choked somebody out for real, you may have a very realistic or unrealistic appraisal of how that will feel. When you choke somebody out, they instantly become, if you're doing it standing, they become very, very heavy. Dead weight and live weight are completely different. And so what ended up happening is I fell down with an unconscious person on top of me while his friends are trying to come get me. And again, I managed to roll him off of me, get back up, use one guy as a shield. So I actually ended up, the way my buddy tells it, I choked out 10 people. It was 3. But just
rear naked
choke, rear naked choke, rear naked choke.
I'm beginning to see a theme here, and it corresponds really well with what tons of other guys who work the door have, or even cops who are not really supposed to use it, but when no one's looking.
Arm drag, rear naked choke, arm drag, rear naked choke.
Yeah.
arm drag rear naked choke.
Exactly.
It's literally the only thing that you need to, like, if you had to just know one thing, it's the only thing you need to know.
Yeah. Okay. You ever use anything else other than the rear naked choke?
I did use something that I was taught it as a hammerlock, which is a chicken wing, I think is the name for it, which is coming in like this and locking up the shoulder and then grabbing the opposite side. I did manage to escort a few people out that way. This was, again, if we're talking about early days, the majority of door staff did not have any kind of training. They were just incredibly...
the biggest douches at the gym.
Well, yeah. Pharmaceutically
company,
enhanced.
Yeah. Present company excluded.
Yeah. So we had kind of a comical dichotomy where it would take 3 or 4 extremely muscular bouncers to drag one resisting guy out. And then I would walk a few people out with like hammerlocks with their friends following, going, sorry sir, sorry, it's like I don't want to piss you off kind of thing. With respect. That was, respect. They'd always say that. We're like, after I did this, respect. Yeah. If you had any, you wouldn't have made me escort you out anyway. But yeah.
Right. I remember one guy talking about a technique he used to get some guy out of the bar, but the bar was down below grade.
Yeah.
So what he actually did is reach down the guy's pants and grab his underwear and basically give him the
wedgie. Atomic wedgie.
And you see, said otherwise it'd be hard to get this guy up the stairs resisting by. But if he's up on his toes, desperately trying to get away from you, it's very, very easy to escort people out the door. So, awesome.
See, regrets in life. I never actually used the atomic wedgie in my...
Well, your life is still young. Did you ever rip anybody's throat out, roadhouse style?
Not that I can talk about.
Okay, no. Or what's the other thing that drives me crazy in that movie and every other movie? It's like, I'm running into a warehouse. There are bad guys with guns everywhere. I'm going to disarm the gun, knock them out, and then leave the gun and run over the next guy.
No! Don't. It's akin to my gun's out of ammo. Let me throw it at you, because guns actually cost a lot of money. Why would you throw a gun at someone?
And they make a pretty good club too.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a pretty rambling talk through your wild and woolly bouncing career, but thanks for sharing it.
No problem. My pleasure.